Now, I've heard about 150 theories about why Conor McGregor's not getting rebooked and why Dana's saying one thing and Conor saying another and Chandler saying this, Taylor saying that. And at the end of the day, my brain always goes to, where's the money at? What's the incentive from a financial perspective? Because that always seems to drive everything in business. And there is a massive financial incentive from the UFC to not allow Conor to fight for as long as possible. Even when you set out to do a video about Conor McGregor, Ronda finds a way to drive herself into the video with something ridiculous. All right, so Conor's got some new content up that we need to show. He's got pictures of himself with his shirt off that are extraordinarily telling when it comes to, like, is this guy training? Like, is Conor McGregor training? Because it looks like a big fat negative, okay? Now, it's very easy to post pictures of yourself that are extraordinarily flattering. I'm just going to jam this in there. You want to see a flattering picture? Look at this picture of Conor and his family. This guy has a beautiful family, man. He looks great. Look at his sisters, dude. Look at his mom. Look at his pop. He's got a great-looking family, bottom line. And guess what? People never look as good as their best pictures, and they never look as bad as their worst pictures. But this one is cut and dry because Conor is actually moving in this video. He posted it for a different reason and to flex on people about what he looks like. And bottom line, he's not in shape. That is just what it is. And I really, really, really feel for Chandler. Now, I realize Chandler made perfectly clear, do not insult me by saying that you feel bad for me. He is making his own decisions, whether or not he's going to fight. But bottom line, I am going to have to weigh in on this at this point. Oh, I'm also going to weigh in on this. More Ronda. We're going to do this after we do Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier. And I don't know, somewhere in this video, we're definitely going to talk about Ronda again. Also, a big shout out to Rashad Evans, who hit me up on Instagram and said he's a huge fan of the channel, which is extraordinarily flattering because I'm a huge Rashad Evans fan. And the way I ended up on the train to Ibogaine was actually almost a direct line result of listening to Rashad on a bunch of podcasts. So he had a huge, profound impact on my life. And so that was extraordinarily flattering. And thank you, sir. I wanted to call it out on the channel since you say you don't miss any videos so that you would hear me in my own voice say thank you, sir. This one right here on the far left, it's a video that we're going to show. And listen, dude, Conor's not training, dude. Like, bottom line. He's not, certainly not in any capacity that he's even remotely close to him fighting, right? And then we got this video of him at his sister's wedding slamming a beer. It's just ridiculous, man. If you're a fan of MMA and you're still like married to this Conor McGregor comeback story, then I don't know what I mean, I know everybody is because every time I post a video about it, it does good views. But like at this point, it's ludicrous. And here's the other thing. There is another thing that is going on here that is very, very possibly what's driving the delay on the side of the UFC. And I think it is very likely that this is what's going on, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Also, I'm actually going to start with this interaction between Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler because, listen, dude, like, this is the game outside of fighting is to stay relevant, and that's what these two guys do, and they get into it. These guys have fought each other once, and they've got these two guys have beef. It seems kind of weird. Like, these two guys seem like the types that would actually get along really well, but I think Chandler did a really good job of cultivating this beef, and then and so did Dustin Poirier. I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Yo Kratom. If you are a Kratom user that uses daily, then obviously buying bulk is going to be your best option. Yo Kratom sells $60 kilograms. I will challenge you, wherever you go get powdered Kratom, look at what you pay, and then compare that to a $60 kilogram. I absolutely guarantee you're paying at least 500% more than that. YoKratom.com gets to your house in 2 days. Check them out. You will love it, and you'll thank me. But anyway, let's look at this exchange and look at them continuing to throw fire on the throw gasoline on the fire that is their conflict. All right, so Dustin Poirier was quick to remind Michael Chandler about his impressive resume after the former Bellator lightweight champion recently celebrated his UFC debut win over Dan Hooker back in 2021. So here's the deal, dude. If you are not fighting and you've been on the sideline for multiple years like Chandler has, which I completely understand why, at this point it is almost like I've always said, like, he's waited this long. Imagine if Chandler lets go of the Conor fight and then they just book someone else with Conor. Like, that will be too much to swallow if I was Chandler. However, I do have what I would do at this point if I was Michael Chandler after seeing this video of Conor today. So anyway, Michael Chandler, he has to stay relevant. So he puts this up. KO of the number 5 ranked guy who had just went on a 25 minutes with the number 2 ranked guy in a fight of the night. But I ain't done nothing because I'm sure that people have been talking trash, right? So this was obviously Chandler's debut, one of the greatest debuts in UFC history for sure. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? And then Yahtzee, first round knockout, and then one of the greatest post-fight speeches of all time. Fantastic debut, right? And so Chandler also referenced Gamrot's 2022 win over Arman Tsarukyan, who is now considered the top contender in the lightweight division. Well, it didn't take long for Poirier to serve up his resume as a retort to Chandler, boasting about his win against Dan Hooker from a few years back. So Dustin says, shut up. I got wins over number 3, number 5, number 6, number 9, and number 12. Yep, and that's true. And that is true. And so for those keeping score, that means Poirier's beaten Gaethje, Hooker, Chandler, Max Holloway, Benoit Saint Denis, all of which are, ranked accordingly. So, and then wait, I'm sorry. So Chandler wrote, didn't even mention him. Chandler wrote on Instagram, just stated an observation. Dude has legit hate for the boy. I mean, all you really have to say if you're Dustin Poirier is, I beat you. You know what I mean? Like if you're, you know what I mean? Like if you want to get nasty, you just be like, yeah, but I beat you. Right? Now, I mean, Chandler was very close to getting DP out of there. But I mean, that was a great fight. That was a great fight. And it's like, finally, when you got two guys who actually have legit beef, they go in there and they really bang it out. It's so disappointing when guys who seem to really dislike each other just go out there and they're all, you know what I mean? Where like the Makayev fight, that was insane. It's like, bro, you're getting in fights at the hotel. Like, you guys have gotten in how many? Multiple fights. Now you're in the cage. Throw some strikes, man. For God's sake. Dude, did you guys hear that he signed with Brave FC? How wild is that? The guy's undefeated, okay? He gets released by the UFC. He should be like, how is PFL not going to sign him? That is insane, okay? To anybody at PFL, let me just say this right now. You guys are not in a position to not sign Makayev unless he is a liability, dude. Unless there's something about this guy that I am not aware of, you are absolutely not in a position to not sign him. You guys need people know. Makayev lost his job at the UFC, not because he's not good, but because of whatever. And when they did fire him, it gave him a bunch of publicity. I can only assume PFL's not signing because they don't want to look like they're taking UFC scraps. That's a huge mistake. He has tremendous long-term upside. That is a bad business decision. Listen, if you talk to him and he's like, I won't sign for less than $350,000 a year. And you're like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, not a year, per fight. Now, what do you know? I looked on the site and I found this incredible story that I have to talk about. I really am not trying to hammer Ronda Rousey. I'm not. Every time that I've talked about her, I have said the same thing about her career, or at least I mean to say the same thing about her career. She is unequivocally the most important female MMA fighter in the history of the sport. Every single female fighter who does this for a living and has had any modicum of success owes a lot of gratitude to Ronda Rousey. When she set out to do this, she was basically equivalent to like one of the early pro jiu-jitsu fighters, where it was like, dude, there was no money. There was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here, okay? Like, there was no realistic way for her to think that she was going to end up being a globally famous multimillionaire, doing women's MMA. And yet, that is exactly what she did, and she pioneered it. The UFC was like, we'll never have women. She became such a huge star that that's what they did. However, Ronda, good God, man. Just stop this stuff, dude. Just calm down. Like, this is literally, so, I'm sorry, in case I... Well, let me get ahead of myself here. The headline here that we're responding to is Ronda Rousey shuts down any hopes for a UFC comeback. Quote, I'm not neurologically fit to compete anymore. It's like, Ronda. Okay, listen. Am I inside your brain? No, I am not. Am I an expert in CTE? No, I'm not. However, the people who are actually, generally speaking, not neurologically fit to compete anymore, have a very distinct way of speaking, and you could kind of tell, you're like, man, that person is jacked. And it's obviously a terrible situation. It is the ultimate risk of this profession, okay? Here's the thing about that, though. It's not like you left UFC and went and, hid in a hole for 50 years or whatever, however many years, 50. Okay? You went to WWE. Okay? I've heard you on the microphone many times. You are sharp as a tack when you are doing WCW or WWE. Let's actually pull that up and let's just see how that sounds.
You can keep the title of the world's classiest loser because I don't want it.
Pretty sharp. I'm just saying, she sounds pretty sharp. I also just watched some clips of her doing WWE. I'm sorry, I'm not like I am outside of the WWE world, but I just watched her move. She is clearly still very fast, still very athletic. Okay, she's not slow. She speaks fast. My point is not to question a professional fighter's CTE who has been knocked out multiple times. My point is just like Ronda clearly takes criticism very, very, very hard. And I am talking like this, assuming she's not seeing these videos, because maybe I would be like nicer about this. But when I see people trying to like push themselves through the victim hole, I'm like, Ronda, dude, like, just say I don't want to fight anymore. I don't need to fight. I don't need to get it's just as good to say I don't need to get punched in the head anymore. Okay? I don't need to get punched in the head anymore. I have millions of dollars. I have succeeded. I just made enough money just on this book to never have to work again. Much less all the money I've made prior to this. There is not one part of me that craves getting kicked in the head or punched in the head ever again. That's fine, because that's probably true. Or she could even be really honest, which is like, I'm going to be straight with you guys. The personality trait that I have that turned me into a world champion was I am literally the most competitive person in the history of the world. Okay. I cannot handle losing. Okay. I hate losing 5,000 times more than I like to win. Bottom line. I mean, you guys heard what I said on Ellen. I said after I lost to Holly Holm that I considered, eating a bullet. I mean, I don't know if I was really going to do it, but that's how depressed I was, that thought entered my head as a multimillionaire, pioneer, greatest of all time women's MMA fighter. It's clearly unhealthy for me to put myself in a position where I could take that devastating of an impact on my life. Like, I'm not doing it anymore because I don't need to. That's a gangster ass answer. That's like a gangster answer. I am making crystal clear. I am not minimizing CTE for fighters. I am making an objective observation that when I have seen her talk about her neurological state in interviews where she wants to say that she has got all this brain damage from fighting in MMA, she seems to me to be putting on, and God, this sounds like poison coming out of my mouth. This goes against basically every single instinct that I have, but it is also my honest observation. It feels like she's like doing an act, I do like how she answered this part though. Okay. So she says every couple of years, same rumor comes out. It's nice to be missed, I guess. Or it's nice to feel missed, I guess, but it's not happening. Boom. Listen, if she came back, I would be really fired up, dude. I would. I am not some huge hater of Ronda Rousey. She was going, that Sandy Hook stuff was insanity, but I would be rooting for her if she came back. But then she's like, but it's not happening. I'm not neurologically fit to compete anymore at the highest level. I just can't. You just get to a level where the neurological injuries you take accumulate over time. They don't get better. Okay. I mean, maybe she was much more susceptible to brain damage than other fighters, but I don't know, dude. This is a gross talk track that I'm on. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just going to stop talking now about this. And let's move on to Conor McGregor. All right, so let's start here. Conor McGregor is at his sister's wedding, and he slugged a beer. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Conor McGregor pounded a beer at his sister's wedding. Who would have ever thought that he would be drinking at his sister's wedding? Dumb. Who cares about this, right? Who cares? This is not what I was talking about. However, since we have a video of it, let's definitely watch it.
There we are, we're good. Love it. Conor, there we are.
Yeah, so let me see what we got here. Oh, yes. Classic. Look at that.
Yes.
Wow, that is sick, beautiful. Dude. Do you see that? The forged stout, it puts his brand on the top of the foam. It puts a stamp on the top of his foam. That is badass, dude.
Slán do mar cara.
Beautiful.
Dude, you know what we used to do in college that I have completely abandoned for some reason, which is ridiculous. Like when we really wanted to get blitzed, we would do car bombs. You know, it's a shot of like whiskey and Kahlua, and you drop it into a Guinness and you just pound the whole thing. Those were, man, I used to love those things, man. That makes getting drunk real easy. Anyway, so he really does have a beautiful family, dude. Bottom line, like, he has a beautiful family. Look at that, dude. Conor is obviously a very strapping gentleman. I guess these are his two sisters and his mom and his dad. Dude, they look great, man. They really do. Who is his sister? I wonder who his sister's marrying. Wasn't she together with one of those she was together with one of those gangsters, wasn't she? Am I making that up? Like her husband is like a gangster? Am I making that up? I thought she was together with one of those Kinahan gang guys. Is that right? All right, let's move over to the picture at hand though, and let's talk about this. So why am I on the? Oh, I remember. Okay. So before we even look at this, the reason I pulled this up is just to demonstrate that people never look as good in their good pictures. I'm sorry, they're never really as bad as their bad pictures. Never really as good as their good pictures. Okay. So this picture of me, in my opinion, looks terrible, right? Like I look, tiny arms. I've got some weird thing going on with my upper body. I don't know what on earth is going on. Like I look at this and I'm like, wow, I look horrendous in this photo. Like if I was just assessing, like, dude, does this guy look in shape? Twig ass legs, bad upper body. And then you're like, oh, but what about this one? This is taken one day before that. And so whoops. Wait, what? What did I just do? Well, this is the same day too. So it's like, you know what I mean? When you see someone move, then you're like, okay, that's what they look like. And it's like, oops, that's not, what am I doing, dude? Good God. Like, this is what I'm saying. This looks way better than I actually look. I don't look close to this good, dude. This is lighting. This is like trick lighting. And the other one, I don't look as bad as the other one, right? But again, when you see someone moving around, that's when you're like, okay, that is what they actually look like. That's what this is with Conor, dude. Like here you can see he's in a video, he's moving around. Bottom line, does he look like he's in fight shape? You know what I mean? Does he look like he's in fight shape? You could probably tell from the photograph, not so much, dude. Like just right out of the gate before he's even moving. Is this a guy who looks like he's training? Look at Chandler, dude. So, I'm certainly not trying to break Conor's balls about his body. I'm just covering, mixed martial arts, and whether or not he's going to come back in 2024 seems to be this huge topic of conversation. And from this video, which we'll show right now, it looks like no. Listen, dude, it's a great video, though. Let me just make that perfectly clear. It's a great video, dude. The more gratitude that you throw into the universe, the better you are. Like, that's just the bottom line. That is what the energy that you want to be putting out is. If you're grateful, you're trying to help people, considerate of others, that is what's going to lead to better outcomes for you. Conor obviously continues to look at this. Just imagine this is your life. See, like there was a time in my life where I would watch that and the emotion I would feel is envy. Long time ago. But this would make me envious. I would look at this and I'd be like, God damn, man. Why does he get to do this on his boat and whatever? I never feel like that anymore. Can I afford to put myself on this boat? Hell no. No, I can't. He has a life I couldn't have currently. But I just feel happy for him. I really do. But the part of this that bothers me, that really bothers me is it seems wildly disrespectful to Chandler, and it's very, very, very flippant with another guy's life. It's a limited time offer to be able to fight, It's a very limited time offer. Chandler started this saga, I'm trying to think of when the last time he fought. Like, when was the last time that he fought? Because at this point, it's I mean, the guy is like, he's now 38 years old. Damn, man. 2 years ago. Man, dude. And he was 36 then. He's 38 now. I mean, at a certain point, I think he's got to let it go, dude. I don't know. I mean, the one thing that I was saying to my buddy today is I was saying, like, look, he does, like, Chandler has the he has the option of fighting, you know, as long as he gets the UFC to agree that they won't book Conor before Chandler fights, right? Because that way, if Chandler goes and wins, then he can go, Conor, you little bitch, get out and fight me, dude. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? But here's the thing. I do think that there is a high probability that what's actually going on is that Conor has now publicly stated that he wants out of his contract. He's like, I got 2 fights left. He keeps on saying that. I have 2 fights left. And what do you think that means? You know what I mean? I only have 2 fights left. So, okay, what's the point that he's trying to make? The point he's trying to make is that he wants to go fight for BKFC. Now, I told you guys, I was absolutely of the opinion that it was very likely that the UFC or, you know, Endeavor or TKO, whatever, is behind that money that went into BKFC. But if Conor says that he only has 2 fights on his deal, that means that he didn't sign a new deal with UFC. So that, maybe not. So if Conor really is trying to get out of his UFC contract to go fight in BKFC, you have to understand that there is a high probability that UFC is pulling back and pushing this fight out because of that. They do not want him out of his contract, obviously. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I got. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.